Hello and welcome to IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live and interactive news conversation web TV. I'm Prachi Jatanya. It is Friday the 13th and according to many beliefs and superstitions, if I may say, the number 13th is considered unlucky and even evil. Shall we be scared because it's also supposed to be a full moon day today? And before the weekend kicks in, is Friday the 13th something one should really worry about? We'll find out a little more and get you details in this video. Take a look. It's Friday the 13th. So what exactly is special about it? Nothing apart from the fact that the 13th day of the month coincides with the 5th day of the week. But it clearly has much more to it than that. Friday the 13th has been saved by history as the day of horror, the day when scary, evil things happen, or so it's believed. From the crucifixion of Jesus to the stock market crash that happened on Friday, October the 13th, 1989, Friday has been considered an unlucky day. The day has been accepted as an evil day, and the American franchise Friday the 13th has left no stone unturned to sell the idea. The franchise comprises 12 slasher films, a television show, novels, comic books, and numerous tie-in merchandise. So how relevant is the day for India? Do we agree with the Western idea of an evil and unlucky day, or do we have our own set of superstitions? And we will welcome a lot of participation and tweets from you on our Twitter handle @IndiaPostLive. What do you think about Friday the 13th? Has it really been unlucky for you at all? And what are the associations you have with the number 13? To take us through this very interesting conversation today, we have in the studio Mr. Gaurav Tiwari. He is the CEO of the Indian Paranormal Society. Thank you so much, Mr. Tiwari, for joining us here at the conversation. And also Ms. Pallavi, who is the MD of Fifth Estate, an NGO. And she will possibly give us what the regular public and normal citizenry feel or don't feel about Friday the 13th. Thank you so much, Ms. Pallavi. We'll also have some very interesting Skype guests and joining us online. So put in your comments and participate in this very interesting conversation that we are going to have. I'll come to you, Gaurav. What is your association with Friday the 13th? An entire industry revolves around it. A lot of superstition beliefs, especially in India as well, that we've seen in the last couple of decades.
See, Friday the 13th is basically a Western faith. In Western countries, people believe that this is very unauspicious day. There's a lot of history behind it. You know, in a year, there are 12 months, and there are 12 seasons, and there are so many things which is counted to 12. So, after 12, the number 13 comes, which is very irregular. But for Indian people, I believe 9/11 should be the, most unauspicious day. They should be worrying about 9/11, and they should see that things like that should not happen again. For me, Friday the 13th is the most lucky day. Would you believe that?
No. Why? Tell us about it.
Every lucky thing has happened to me on Friday the 13th, mostly. Like today, I'm sitting in Live India Post and speaking with so many people, and so many people are listening to me. So I think this is lucky day for them also to hear me and hear her and hear you.
Right.
So, but basically, if you look into it, it's basically a belief system. If you believe this day is going to be lucky for you. Like in India, a lot of people believe that you should not eat non-veg on Thursdays and Saturdays. Something like that. It's belief system. If you eat non-veg, something will happen to you. It has come to your system. And you start automatically believe that, okay, Friday the 13th, something horrible is going to happen today with me.
Right. Pallavi, what do you think, as somebody who is a professional and you interact with people from across sections of life, what have been any kind of interesting anecdotes or anything you've come across about Friday the 13th?
Well, the most interesting one would be that I have had a lot of unlucky days, and probably certain percentage of them would have fallen on 13th, Friday.
Okay.
And if I were to believe that 13th, no offense, 13th, Friday the 13th was unlucky, I would have considered it as very unlucky and would have just seen that percentage of events happening on that day. So, no, I don't believe in that. Initially, I would have said I don't mind, but if you want to ask me, I can say why I don't believe, and I wouldn't want anybody to believe in it. Professionally, I don't think it makes any sound argument to me to believe in something like that. If I have an important client meeting on 13th Friday, and if you ask me, would I go for it? Yes, I would go for it, unassuming that the result would be negative. So no, I don't. But however, I do realize there's a big economic argument behind it, the industry behind it. And as you mentioned, 9/11. If you go to Holocaust Museum in US, you get T-shirts for that as well.
Yes.
Does that mean something? Well, it means it was a bad thing and it happened, right? 9/11, you get mugs with 9/11. You go to 26. I have a cup with 2611 from Leopold Cafe.
Yes.
So these all things are like what you want to see, what you don't want to say. It's
Right.
per
Gaurav?
person.
Yeah, she's absolutely right when she says that. You know, business, you can do business with anything, with a glass of water. So dates, especially important dates that people will never forget. When it comes to Friday and when it comes to 13, I can understand a lot of people consider 13 as unlucky number. Now Friday, I don't think if you look at it religiously, Friday is going to be very unlucky because a lot of religions worship on Friday.
Exactly.
And what happens, tonight is a full moon night. I can relate this full moon night with paranormal activity somehow. But I won't say that you have to believe that this day is unauspicious because of full moon night. This
There's
is
no
not
relation.
acceptable. Yeah.
Right. I'll also have a very interesting guest joining us from Mumbai on Google Hangout, Miss Asma Rafat. She's a cinematographer. Thank you so much, Miss Asma, for joining us at the conversation at India Post Live.
Thank you so much, but I would like to correct you. I'm an assistant only right now.
Okay, you're an assistant cinematographer. Thank you so much. Nevertheless, you're in the business of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Right. You know, we've seen a lot of films revolving around the theme of Friday the 13th, huge blockbusters. We've, seen Nightmare on Elm Street. You've seen Friday the 13th being completely revolving around the number 13 and Friday 13. So what has been the Indian association or Indian connection to Friday the 13th in terms of films?
Frankly speaking, what I believe, whatever Bollywood makes, whatever they take the subject as, it is all the copied material. I mean, that's a fact. They don't, want to go out and explore what is actually happening. But according to me, every day is lucky and every day is unlucky. So if you want to treat Friday the 13th as the unlucky day, so it's like up to the person to person, it depends on person to person. And as far as Bollywood is concerned, I guess, they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in unlucky or lucky. I guess according to them, as far as whom all I've interacted till now, they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in God altogether. So why would they believe in something as an unlucky or lucky?
Right, Miss Asma, but there are two different divergent views also, because a lot of films are releasing today, despite being Friday the 13th. We have Fugly releasing today, and on the other hand, if you see, a lot of film artists or actors don't want to shoot on Friday the 13th.
Have you met all those people? Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Is there some device behind you that is buzzing or ringing?
Yeah, that's your own call. I'm just opening it.
Actually, I don't know. Some of them, again, like as I said, it depends on person to person. So they wish to shoot on the date or on the day, particular day or date, and it's like up to them,
Right. Personally, do you feel there is anything unlucky or evil about Friday the 13th?
I don't think so. I mean, even tomorrow, Saturday, 14th can be unlucky for me. I mean, 4 days back, I fall down from the stairs. So I can, my leg is hurting badly right now. So I can say, that day is unlucky for me.
Right.
And today is like, I'm talking to you. So it's like a lucky day for me.
Right. I'll get Pallavi in here. There is a fear of the number 13. It's called triskaidekaphobia, and a lot has been talked about. And there are people who generally try and keep away from superstitions or certain things that they feel would be unlucky for them. Do you feel then that's something that holds them back from achieving what they could or restricts them?
Well, yes and no. Because it again depends. If they go for it on the 13th and they fail, it only reinstate their belief. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sense. And if they don't do it, and if they don't, even though it turns out bad, they'll say, oh, you know, probably there was something worse that was going to happen and I'm saved from that. So in that way, you will see whatever you want to see. However, the thing that I wanted to mention here, the problem is not what prejudice we are discussing, in my opinion. The problem is that we are condoning a prejudice. Because when we say, well, you know, believing in 13th Friday, well, how does it matter? I mean, I won't make a decision. It doesn't really harm my life. But what we're doing here is condoning a prejudice. And when you do that, there is a very fine line that you can, if you condone this, you can't say that, well, that this one is fine, but you know, racial prejudice isn't fine, or you know, caste or religion prejudice isn't fine. If you tell that to me, I would say, why isn't it fine? I'm not harming anybody if I don't want to talk to a person from that religion. So how can you stop me? How can you say this is fine, but that's not fine? Either case, I'm not harming anybody. But I hope you agree that religion, caste, prejudices aren't fine.
Correct.
So it's a question about, if I am condoning something, am I then entitled to make that distinction or to draw that line? I would rather be not condoning any prejudices, good or bad, harmful or unharmful, than doing this.
Right. But Mr. Tiwari, there is an entire industry, like we spoke, there's a business abroad, there are films made around it, there's a merchandise being sold. Do you feel then that the Indian mindset also gets influenced, because we are so exposed to the Western ideology and you know, the entire culture, Westernization of Indian values? Do you feel that it's getting more difficult now to have that kind of a gap?
I don't think so, because this is continuing in India since so many centuries. In Western countries, they celebrate Halloween,
Yes.
they celebrate Friday the 13th, and there are a whole lot of business around it. In India, we do have celebrations like that. Have you heard about Mahashivratri?
Yes.
What people do, they make up like ghosts and spirits and they dance. In a lot of cities I have seen it. So we do have this celebration for ghosts and dark things and everything. In India, we do it in Indian way. You know, there's always a jugaad. And in Western countries, it's all organized. Friday the 13th, there's so much of business on that. There was a movie, so many movies on that. In India, if you find a date, any date, suppose 9/11, we start making a movie. As she said, she has got T-shirt and
Of
coffee mugs and all.
26/11, right.
So it's all about encashing a date, encashing something that people believe. So Friday the 13th, again, I'm coming to it. Have you heard about Last Supper? It was said that there were 13 people on the table. And after they had their dinner, one died. So it was considered that if 13 people are taking dinner at one table, one will die. A lot of hotels and a lot of buildings don't have number 13 floor. They don't have 13th floor.
Kerala High Court doesn't have a
Exactly.
room number 13.
I have seen many hotels which do not have room number 13. So people consider this number 13 unlucky because it has so many histories. Like people consider it as irregular number. There's nothing to do with paranormal or superstition. Superstition is anything believing in absence of proof. So if you believe in anything, I believe that this is not glass, this is something else, but I don't have proof.
Yeah.
So this is superstition for me.
Right. But do you feel India also, you know, because IPL spot fixing, the life ban was imposed on Friday. Narendra Modi became the prime ministerial candidate of, you know, for the 16 Lok Sabha on Friday the 13th. So do you then feel that there is a sort of, you know, a negative connotation, and it's largely constantly being promoted through the media or through, you know, spokespersons or people who are sort of making a business out of it, and there are no rational thinking people who will try and...
Exactly. See, when it comes to news channels, especially what I have seen, there's very less rational logic behind anything they show. You know, it's about encashing something which
Right.
has been continuing since long. And I think this is how Friday the 13th still in
so popular,
existence. Yeah.
is existing. Right. On that note, we'll play some graphics out before we get some more voices and guests on our show, on our conversation. The graphics that you will see on your screens now, it does talk about superstitions that are, well, we've just picked out a few
Some
that
people
have been
believe that you should
largely
hang a horseshoe
connected.
in your room with the end pointing upwards to ward off evil and bring good luck. Also, a horseshoe has 7 holes and 7 is considered a lucky number. No wonder then horses are happy animals, right?
Right. So, the horseshoe connection,
Yeah.
a lot of our elderly people, do feel, Pallavi, that the horseshoe sign outside everyone's door, especially in smaller villages we've seen, or ancestral homes, that there is always going to be that horseshoe at the entrance of the door.
Yeah. And I think a lot of our elders and ancestors also believed in terming a woman witch and, killing her, stoning her to death. So again, as I say, well, for the one point that you were discussing before was, is media playing an important role? Well, yes and no. And I don't, well, they are, but why not? If someone is ready to believe in something, well, it's after all, it is a business. And we will provide it to them. It's the thought process of people that is to be questioned. And it is, any superstition, as I said, and any prejudice is a very dangerous thing to believe in, to propagate, to condone. And horseshoe, be it witchcraft, be it, whatever, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, on the witchcraft point that Pallavi's made, we'll also have another graphics point here for you. Take a look.
There's also a saying that if a black cat passes your path, it's bad omen. This superstition came up in the Middle Ages with the belief that elderly single women who associated themselves with cats were actually witches who can turn into cats. So the next time a cat crosses your way, she could be a witch.
Mr. Tiwari.
So many times cats cross my road, but I have been lucky after they do that. Everything what people call unlucky is lucky for me, at least, because it's my belief system. See, in the entire world, this is a pandemic undercurrent that people want to run away from their responsibility, from their self-responsibility. And they want to empower someone else or something else that can protect them, that can save them, or that can save them from their responsibility. Suppose if someone fails an exam, he will say, God, what did you do? Suppose someone meets with an accident. God, I always prayed you, what did you do? What we're actually trying to do, we are trying to empower something else or someone else for,
blame them.
for something that we can and we should do for ourselves. Putting any horseshoe in front of house, what is it? Belief system. People believe that horses only go forward, they don't come back. So the horseshoe get a positive property. That's why they put it on their door. But again, what is working here? It's a belief system. People are believing that, okay, this is protecting me. So their belief system is so right. See, whatever we do, it only depends on our belief.
So you're
What
training
we
your
believe.
mind to think
Exactly.
that belief.
Exactly. Belief is such a strong tool in humanity that even sages and anything those who say have done siddhi, it's all only belief. It's only the power of belief. We once believed that we cannot fly, so we didn't. We
Right.
started believing that we can fly, so we started flying. So belief system plays a major role in most of the things.
On that note, we have a very interesting guest who's joining us on Skype. We have Mr. Sanal Edmarukku, who is the president of the Rationalist International and the Indian Rationalist Association. Thank you so much, Mr. Edmarukku, for joining us on the conversation at India Post Live. It is indeed a privilege to get you to connect with us. Your views on Friday the 13th?
Yeah, primarily the Earth is rotating the Sun, and there is no special difference between any day per se. And we make a calculation on the basis of Friday, which is based on one calendar. If you go for another calendar, that may not be Friday, and that this day could be different. So these calendars and months and all these kind of things are based on one universally acceptable thing, that is an year, which is a arithmetic thing. All other calculations based on that is human calculation. We are basing the Gregorian calendar now, and on the Gregorian calendar, Friday the 13th is one day. If you go to Shaka era and if you go for another calculation, this particular day could be different. So it's based on a certain kind of belief system connected with a lot of primitive things. For example, 13 is a different figure which cannot be divided very easily. 12 become very important because 12 can be divided by 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And 13 cannot be divided. So the early stages of our numeric thought, 13 became a complicated number and became very unlucky for many people. That is why, for example, look at our, even in our system, in many hotels we don't have room number 13, but you have a 12A. and in Kerala High Court, there is no 13 number chamber. I mean, it's when officially such superstitions are pumped and supported without any reason for that. So that is the kind of mindset that promotes these kind of superstitions, the kind of mindset that supports these kind of superstitions, give way for a lot of other magical thinking, which can be very dangerous. So the fundamental nature of finding unverifiable, reasonable reasons for these kind of claims could be very dangerous in the whole mindset of the whole community and people, and that's what is promoted by these kind of superstitions. I would say that such superstitions are to be simply explained and stopped, because it's a bad business, it's a bad communication, it's a bad idea, and it creates a bad atmosphere.
Right. Mr. Sanal, you've traveled extensively in the last couple of years, and what would you say is the difference in scenario when we talk about Friday the 13th in the US? Because somehow it feels that if it's done by the Western world, it's more acceptable, it's trendy, and they make a business out of it. So the younger generation in India or in other countries, don't mind it. They may make a joke about it, but it actually condones and continues to promote that thought also of Friday the 13th and the unlucky or evil factor associated to it.
You're absolutely right. Most of the superstitions survive on or continue based on two major factors. One is the fear that we have, and we have a fear for any kind of magical imagination and any kind of magical thoughts that could affect us, that could damage us, that could destroy us, and that could be attributed to see our misluck or our misfortune. We are afraid of. And on the other side, superstition is a mega buster business everywhere. Right, like our own superstitions here, superstition is a very big business in the United States. For example, when the doomsday predictions were there, for example, in 2013, the universe is going to end. When that superstition was there, billions and billions of business was built out of that thing. When superstition is a business, when there is money and power connected to it is coming, it becomes, very powerful, and it gets currency very fast. Also, very interesting factor that I noticed, for example, you have been speaking about a cat crossing our way. In India, that's a big superstition. But if you go to Egypt, the same cat, if it crosses your way, that's a good omen. Mm-hmm. And many people find that very, very lucky. So it's a question of what tradition you have, what kind of mythology you have, and what kind of feelings that has been created in your mindset for generations, and that decides it. And you feel that something bad is going to happen, you look for bad things, and you feel that anything that happened to you is a bad thing. And there's a selective, recognition of things. If you're looking for a bad, situation, any bad thing would be attributed to it. And if you find something good, and if you have a good omen, you selectively go for that thing. So it's a human mindset that looks for patterns. And this wrong pattern, for example, like in the primitive man, when it sees a movement in the bushes, it could be because of wind and it could be because of a leopard. But experience, evolutionarily, it's convenient for him and it's important for him to see or imagine that it could be a leopard, and he starts running. Because that's important at the time, because it could be wind and it could be leopard. Wind does not matter, but leopard matters. So he has to run. So that was an evolutionary requirement that we still carry, and we look for patterns for fear. So now we have developed a lot, civilization has developed a lot, human brain has not developed that tune. Therefore, such patterns are to be identified with reason.
Right. Anything that you'd like to add, Gaurav?
See, it's human propensity to gossip, and we cannot forget gossip. We need to have something to gossip and talk about. Fear is one of the things. If you're not scared, there's nothing to talk about, nothing to gossip about. Friday the 13th, a lot of Indians have this mindset that America follows Friday the 13th, that's why we are following it. And in India, I've especially seen in youth, teenagers, they start believing in it. They don't enjoy it. In America, I've seen people, they enjoy this Friday the 13th. Personally, whether they don't believe in it,
they celebrate it
as a day, whatever it is, as a horror day to celebrate. They just need celebration. Mm-hmm. In India, people do celebrate, but they start believing in it.
There is a fine line, right?
Exactly. In India, I have seen people believing in anything, almost in anything instantly. Why so? Is our belief so fragile that we can just believe in almost anything? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of self-responsibility required in Indian youth today. They have to be responsible for what they are believing and what they need to believe. We can believe in almost anything, but if we don't have proof, it's just faith.
Right. Pallavi, would you like to have ask a question to Sanal possibly, or maybe exchange a view or two on what we are discussing?
Maybe just a comment, and you can comment on it. And well, to extend the argument that you're making, or rather challenge that actually, I think belief is a very positive thing. And faith and hope and belief are, well, in a way, synonyms, which keeps you going in difficult situations, right? So that is positive. And like you, somehow I feel that we are blaming US for a lot of things these days. Well, it started in US, yes, and so many other positive things started in US. Let's talk about that. Gay rights, carbon footprint,
No, I
environment.
think we're saying that we try to ape them blindly and not have that
Exactly.
distinctive
No.
line.
But that's not true. There are
See,
many
the
other-
difference between faith and belief is, belief is what you judge and what you see and what you believe strongly. Faith is believing on anything which doesn't have any proof. So faith sometimes saves you. As you tell me that when you are in a situation of difficulty, you have this faith on God or whatever, any power, external power that is going to save you. But again, when you speak scientifically, our human beings, when we make mistakes, this is our mistake, and we are responsible for our mistake, and we have everything in ourselves to improve this mistake, and we have this, but we don't empower ourselves, we empower something else, some pandits, some tantrics, some Maulvis, anything. We empower everyone, we are seeking someone else to make him empowered to save us. Why? Where is our self-responsibility?
But why is youth responsible for that? Why is it that our older generation keep on giving on these views? So it's like, I mean, I'm
This
giving
is
an
why
example.
we need to change.
I mean,
Our
I'm
older
giving an-
generation, if they're doing something wrong, it's our responsibility to change them. If our parents are saying something wrong, it is our responsibility to change them. If older generation did not understand something, now if we are understanding, it's our responsibility to go to them and tell them what
I
we
think
are
that
not
will be a very
understanding.
difficult battle to fight.
It is,
I
it
think-
is.
I think
But
we have-
If
we
we
have-
start changing, we can change the future.
Right. We have Asma who has a direct question for Gaurav and for Sanal. We'll just go to Gaurav first. Asma, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. You just spoke about belief. Okay. So there's this friend of mine, my childhood friend. She was 6-year-old and she died on Friday the 13th. I don't remember the month, but it was 13th day of the month. And I don't know. Some people have different theories, like some jinn took her away, or I don't know what, some supernatural power. So, like, they believed in that, and till date, like, I never went back to that place again, but then till date, people says that some jinn was there who took her away because she has got long hair, and I don't know. So, is that a belief system we need to change, or it's like some activity? Actually, there's some supernatural powers actually exist.
See, we need not change our belief system. We need to believe in ourselves. This is the primary thing we need to do. We can believe in almost anything, but if we don't believe in ourselves, we are lost. Our existence is lost.
Society's belief, right? The old uncles whom I now meet, they tell me the same story, you know.
Tell me one thing. This is a very interesting question that you asked.
No, because the theory that they used to tell me, because I come from a Muslim background, so
Yeah.
these things, like, I've been hearing since childhood, that don't go out in open in the evening with your hair open. This is the old belief. So is that like something, like, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that's
It's a-
because
it's a very
that's because
interesting
we are
question.
women, not because of the religion. You
Yes.
can't really walk
It's a
out in the
very
evening
interesting
alone
question,
anyway.
Farah. I have been to more than 6,000 haunted locations in the world, so many countries. I'm an investigator, paranormal researcher, and I've been to more than 6,000 places. And let me tell you, people told me a lot of things. I've been doing this for last 10 years. People told me a lot of things, that if you go to some place and eat something white, you'll get possessed. You do something like this and jinn will follow you. But let me tell you, there was no single location where I have been harmed.
Yeah, same happened with
But would you like to
Gaurav,
directly
let me
answer?
ask you one
Sanal, I
question.
think
10
Sanal
years,
wants
10
to.
years,
Sanal
you have
wants
gone
to.
6,000
Yes, go ahead,
places. How is
Sanal.
it possible? Because every day, if every year we have 365 days only, you'll be able to go to 3,650 only in 10 years. How is it possible that you visited 6,000 places in 10 years?
Sir, if you don't know about me, please check my background. I have been to so many countries.
But you
and
know, you have to be,
And-
100% in several, 2 places every day.
not 2 places
True.
every day. I've been to 6 places in a day. That doesn't mean I have to stay there every day. I've been to
Locations.
6,000 locations and I investigate every day. If you don't know about background, so I am not
Okay,
here to
Sanal,
comment
would
about
you
that.
like to?
Okay,
Would
But
you like
let
to?
me tell you one thing. I was answering her. Let's don't go off topic. I was talking to her and I was telling
Asma.
her, Asma, that it's belief. What you start believing since your childhood. If you believe that God can do something good to you, then you're right. What you believe is true for you. What you don't believe is not true for you. So it's not possible. It's not like that your belief can be right for me, true for me, and my belief can be true for you.
But if you
it's
can-
your own personal, individual belief.
But would you like to answer her question directly? She has a sense of apprehension
Yeah.
that because her friend died in that particular place on that particular date, her family believes that she shouldn't go there. Also leaving her hair open and going out in the evenings.
This is what I'm talking about. I have been to so many places. I've challenged spirits. Nothing has happened to me.
Right.
But if I believe, I have taken so many people with me who believe that they will get possessed going to that place.
Okay.
They got possessed. Why? It's your individual belief. If you don't believe that you can be possessed, nothing will happen to you.
Right.
And you start believing it. There was an experiment conducted in US about belief system. The goons there are called skinheads. They wear masks and they also carry some iron rod, heated iron rod, to take money from strangers on the road. So there was this lady coming. 3 scientists, they dressed up as skinheads with a plastic rod in their hand, and the light inside it was like a melted
It looked
rod.
like, yes, it looked like it was a real.
They went to that lady, they just snatched her purse and they said, we'll kill you. They just touched that cold plastic rod on her hand, and suddenly she got all these bruises and like her hand was burned. It's belief system. If you believe something very strongly, it is true for you.
Okay. Sanal, would you like to respond to what Asma is asking, or your views on what Asma is talking about?
And that is what I mean by patronized reasoning that people make. For example, there's a coincidence that happens to you. And you want to make, there's a human tendency to find reasons that is not...
Unfortunately, we've lost that connection, but we'll try and get him back for one final comment. Pallavi, one final comment before we take the show on Twitter and social media forums. Do you feel then that this association with Friday the 13th has been overhyped and it's all just about a sort of a gimmick?
Well, yes, absolutely. But again, it is to me as it's a business opportunity as any other thing. If I believe a red color is lucky for me, I would want to wear red clothes, red sandals, red pumps, whatever. So there's a business opportunity there, and I think it's similarly 13th Friday. But well, every belief and faith, there's a very minor difference, as you said, between belief and faith. Either way, one is positive, one is bad. Superstition and prejudices are always harmful. But I would rather not believe in anything and just hope for the best than believe in good or bad and have bad repercussions of it.
Right. Sanal?
Say that anything that is questionable, anything that makes extraordinary claims, it needs verification. Extraordinary claims needs extraordinary evidences, that is normally said. So any superstition that is not verifiable, that is not understood with our common reasoning, we should keep it open. And anything that is absolutely baseless in our common understanding and our empirical studies, it should be rejected, and we should not have any fear to reject superstition, because it's very important for our progress that we reject superstitions and reject extraordinary claims.
I disagree there a little bit, and I would like to challenge that. I don't think we should keep any superstition open. I think it should be none until...
No, I didn't say that. I said
belief
that
open.
if anything is not understood properly, we should keep it open for verification. If you're very clear that it's a superstition, if it's absolutely blind faith, we should reject it.
That's actually I'm challenging.
A priori rejection or acceptance of anything is not a scientific approach. We have to, if it's not clear for us, we should not a priori reject or accept anything, and we should be open for verification.
I agree to half of that argument. I think we should accept only when we can prove it,
Yes,
but do not keep anything open.
We don't reject any claim a priori.
No, there's a difference though. My point is that we should not keep, well, hear me out just a second, maybe it'll make sense. My point is that none of these things should be kept open. A few can be accepted only when it is Only when it is proven.
I think we are taking a wrong point.
Okay,
what
maybe.
I said is that any claim, if anybody makes, the person who makes the claim has a responsibility to make evidences for that to prove it. Or if it's becoming very important in the society and influential in the society, we have to make empirical studies with an open mind to prove or disprove it, or rejecting or eliminating the baseless claims to come closer to reality. So any claim, tomorrow somebody says that there was a UFO, most probably most of these claims are baseless, but all the same,
Wait. Did somebody say aliens don't exist?
We should refuse to go there and study what the claim is. Because the moment we say that I don't want to study, I know it, it's all like that, that's another position which we should not do. Therefore, investigation is required, study is required, we should have an open mind while rejecting superstition.
And Mr. Edmaroko, you are actually you have launched a campaign against superstitions.
Yes.
Could you just tell us very briefly about it? And there has been a bit of a legal tangle for you with regard to that.
Yeah, in fact, for last 30 years, I have been visiting hundreds of Indian villages. In 1995, we have made a national campaign reaching out nearly 1,000 villages in India, which was reported worldwide. Channel 4 made a documentary about that. And that is the campaign which I've been doing. And later I've been studying most of the miracle claims of superstitions in India and everywhere. I've been on an average nearly 250 television programs a year for the last 4 or 5 years. But when it came to a miracle claim in Mumbai, where a Jesus statue was dripping water, I was invited to study it. The local church has invited me to study it. When I've gone there, studied it, very soon I could find that there was a water blockage from the toilet, the drainage, and it was broken, and through capillary action the water was going up and dripping through the feet. And I photographed, documented, and gave the whole details in the television program, but was not taken very kindly, and they have used a draconian law of our penal code, namely the so-called Indian blasphemy law, Article 295A. Instead of defending what they wanted to defend, in fact, they had an opportunity of 5 representatives of the church and a bishop on the other side in the debate. And after that, they could not defend their miracle or the other claims. They started using these laws against me and started filing a lot of cases. Even after the television program, when I was coming out, interestingly, they have brought in thugs to attack me with sticks. I had to escape through the back door. So this was a situation which I could not expect any time in India, because in last, for example, from 1979-80, I started my campaign in India. And 2014, a situation comes that when I speak about a miracle with empirical evidence and facts, I cannot walk freely in the street, or somebody could get me arrested and beat me in the jail. And such situation was emerging. And I was, of course, traveling later in Europe, giving a lecture series. I could not come back to India. So now I'm in Finland, but I'm expanding my horizon. My campaign against superstition is going worldwide. And for example, the workshop that I've been doing for the National Science Center every year, now I'm doing internationally for selected people all around the world. So in fact, the people who wanted to press me down has given me an opportunity to expand my work worldwide.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sanal, and good luck to you. One final question before you go. Does Friday the 13th mean anything to you?
Absolutely no. I would just like to celebrate that day. Like any other day, because every day is a celebration and every day is a good day, and nothing is bad or good about Friday the 13th. It's just another day.
Right. On that note, we'll wind up this entire conversation here in the studio. But do write in to us on our Twitter handle @IndiaPostLive, and you can contact all our participants on our Twitter handle and pose questions or take forward this conversation. A very, very engaging conversation, of course. I'll also thank Ms. Azma and Mr. Sanal Edmaroko. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us, and also Ms. Pallavi here in the studio, and Mr. Gaurav Tiwari, who is from the Indian Paranormal Society. Thank you so much for your very interesting views and very divergent mix of views. But Friday the 13th definitely gathers and garners that kind of responses. Friday the 13th not meaning much to any of our panelists here, but Mr. Tiwari, of course, feels that it is a very lucky day for him. Do write in to us what Friday the 13th has done for you. For me, of course, I will look forward to the weekend and just say, thank God it's Friday. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching, and stay tuned for more interesting conversations coming up on this Web TV. Goodbye.